whole leaderless thing. I'm like, yeah, that was great when we did it, but now it came to a point where I was like, okay, we need our issues articulated. What do we do? There's no leaders, and even when we say something like Ruto must go, so assuming Ruto goes, Gachagua becomes president. How do we have people where we're thinking of we can prop up to that level? So yeah, those are just some of the things I felt, and it was very sad. I think it was draining. We got injured. Mimi nilipigwa na tear gas mpaka nikaizoea. Maji ya makano nilizizoea. Yani, and then people got killed. Yeah, people dying, man, was not. I mean, you always kind of know with things like this, with revolution, this could happen, but it just wasn't great. Like it wasn't. Na walikuwa na walkie-talkie, bro, nikatoroka nikaenda kwa neighbor. Wakakaa wakasimama hapo kwa hii my outside my door, just surveying. Even my watchman is like, hey, kuna wasi wako hapa kwako, na inakaa very weird. And then they came, after the choose on as criminals thing, I remember my folks even called me. They were like, hey, wewe tunafeel unafaa utoke manze, vitu zako zikae poa. Then immediately after that call, there's a friend of mine who was a friend uko KD in the army KDF. Alinipigia akaniambia nimepigiwa na umse, sister jina yake of course, nimepigiwa na umse, wananiambia jina yako iko kwa list ya sana, natafuta na need kutoroka. This guy knows me as Charisma. Yeah, he doesn't know my real name, but he asked my friend, umse ni best yako anaitwa Fidel Shama. Mwambia atoke huku. Nikasema watu wangu, nakumbuka hiyo siku, that same night tulienda nika withdraw just enough money. Nilikuwa kwa stage ya easy coach, nilisema hata si drive, stage ya easy coach nikapotea. Nakumbuka that morning, so my watchman calls me again, kuna watu wanagonga kwa mlango yako, sijui nini. Namwambia mimi ni sawa, wacha wagonge, wakitaka wabomoe waingie, mimi siko. Yeah, and even so I have a dog guy I live with. Hata niliambia bro wangu akachukua akaishia nazo. Yeah, so my house was like that, and I wasn't in my house for a long time, for a very long time. Tulikuwa tunatafutwa, and so the situation was crazy. And I think mimi I believe Ruto tu ni army ilikata kumsaidia, but I'm sure he wanted to go full throttle, and they were like, no, we're not gonna do this. But it was tough. So hata mimi niendelea tu na maandamano Kakamega manzi.
Yes, maandamano. You are part of Easy Maandamano. You know, this has been a very difficult year for Kenyans. It's been difficult for us who are far away, so I can only imagine how emotionally distressing whatever was happening in Kenya was for you guys who are out there, and especially like some of you wasanii mkajitokeza and you showed your faces out there in an environment where people were being abducted, people were being disappeared, people were being killed. So just take us, you know, because unajua it's been quite a traumatic period, and it passed so fast that people don't realize how traumatic this was. Just tell us about your experience being there. You know, you're a musician, you're busy making music, then there's this thing happening in Kenya that's unprecedented. You know, protests like we've never seen before. You know, watu wanaamka wanarudi tao, maandamano. Talk to us from your point of view, from your perspective. What was there and what you did during the protests?
So our lives came to a standstill, to be honest. For a long period of time, nikaa tu kwa tunaishi. Ilikuwa tu maandamano, ilikuwa tuko kwa streets every single day. And for issues that affected every Kenyan. It was not political, it was people, it was a people-based situation in any issue, you know. And so me being on the streets was, you see, I mean, people talk about, when msanii ulikuwa kwa street ulifanya poa, but I was telling guys, I'm suffering like everyone. The landscape in Kenya is bad for everyone. It's not just bad for you guys, it's bad for artists, it's bad for everyone. So all of us were just fighting for our rights, for the things that we believe in, for a fair country, you know. And for the money that we contribute to be used in the right way also. It was a difficult time. So being on the road, so I want to be honest, like most of us or most of the people who are on the road are people who've never even been at protests. So that's also a new experience. Like unajieka kwa a field that you've never even experienced, you don't even know how it is. I remember the first day. So I went for the very first. Actually, nilienda tu maandamano zote, if I'm honest. The first one was wild because that's the first time I'd ever been in a place where nilikula tear gas. Na unajua kawaida mimi upata tear gas ile yenye residue iliangushwa mahali
ikaisha,
alafu mimi napita hapo baadaye naisikia ama inapigwa sasa. Hii ilikuwa inatupwa kwangu, yani sisi ndo tunatupiwa tear gas. And I remember, so the first day we were not a lot of people, bro. Music anga kwa TV wakisema running battles nili experience. So the first one wasn't many, you know, the numbers kept growing, yeah. So it felt like the ratio of people to police was 1-to-1. My guy, tulikuwa tunafinyiwa kwa machuo mtao. Tear gas inarushwa kutoka east side ya left na side ya right, mko katikati. Mimi nawaambia nilikuwa nalia na kohoa, niko huko manze, napiga manduru, tunakimbia, wasichana wanaanguka chini. That first day was a mess and they arrested so many people. So I remember I even got arrested twice that first day. Ya kwanza watu wakanisaidia, wakapiga kelele karao, wakaniachilia juu panic, juu alikuwa solo. Ya pili manze nilienda kurudi kwa Mariamu. Na manze it was so funny because it was on the TV. Like unajua ile time tu wasa news wameamua kufocus on msana anashikwa. Nilienda kurudi kwa Mariamu. Nikapiga mkono huyo jamaa nikakimbia na sikuangalia nyuma tena. So my mom is calling me. Yeah, nakuona kwa TV ukishikwa. You know, you can imagine.
Wow.
So it was so wild. But what happened is, because of the guys who came up the first day, I think a lot of people got the psych to come out, you know. So I remember that the first one was on a Tuesday. That Thursday, man, we were so many. I'm telling you, tao ilikuwa imejaa, ilikuwa inakani kama tunaenda concert. Wase walikuwa wamejaa manze, yeah. And then just, you know, the Kenyan government, the Kenyan police, what happened after that is where all the problems came, yeah. Vile walianza kuchapa wase. When the first person was shot, I remember. That day,
Rex Masai.
yes. When Rex was shot, that day I remember tulikuwa tumetoka. I left town, I think, around 30 minutes before that incident happened. Now, on my way home, see, I'm driving. Niko na drive, niko na brother yangu kwa gari na mabiste zangu wenye tumekam now. And I remember someone called me and told me, bro, they've shot someone is dead. I went to Twitter and now started seeing the conversations, yeah. So we get home and I'm seeing the conversation, and I told my brother, this is now, this thing that they've done, this is where this thing is going to start haribikaing. Because people are, when you're in a peaceful protest, assume we're here early and we're having a convoy and we're not agreeing, sawa?
Yeah.
Lakini urushe ngumi ya kwanza.
Yeah.
More often than not, pia mimi ndarusha ngumi.
Of course, yeah.
Ndajidefend.
Yeah.
And I told my bro, his stuff itakuwa mbaya. Itashindwa kuwa peaceful. And I remember the next Tuesday we went out and I did, like, I remember early on, I really tried. I kept on telling guys, Musirushe Maya, because guys would shika stones and I'm going to tell them, please, remember what our goal is, to rushe Maya, to do even naive. But then, I think a couple other people were killed again that morning. And now people were just angry. Mpaka nakumbuka kuna boy fulani nilimwambia yake mawe chini. Kaniambia unaniambia nike mawe chini na wanatua nitakupiga nayo. I said, oh.
What?
Sorry bro. Like guys became angry. And that day for parliament, oh guys, I saw it here firsthand with my eyes.
June 25th. Yeah.
Wase walikuwa na hasira. Like people were angry. You've killed our brothers. I'm telling you, there was no fear. Unajua, nakumbuka the first couple of days tulikuwa tunasikia gunshots tunatoroka, cause mimi acha niambie, mimi mpaka sikuwa unajua, si kama states vile wenyewe sasa wangana magani, mnajua vile guns zinalia. Mimi sikuwa najua tofauti ya gun na tear gas vile zinalianga. Mpaka ikafika point sasa najua hiyo ni tear gas, hizo sasa ni bullet. Juu unajua hiyo tear gas inalia kama bomb manze. Nilikuwa nadhani hiyo ndo gun, una get. Bro, I'm telling you, it was so crazy. I even crammed what tear gas you can return. Kuna ile tear gas iko na yellow na blue, hiyo ukishika ina burst hadi kwa mkono, una get. Tuli learn so many things, but I remember now that day people were not even fearing. Like tulikuwa tunasikia actual live bullets, people just keep marching forward kuingia parliament. And initially the goal was, because I remember when we had a gender-based violence march this year, and the goal was also to reach parliament to let our voices be heard. And it was, we went and stood outside parliament for a long time. A lot of people sang and they heard us, but you know, and that was the goal even with this one. But people got angry. I'm telling you, people broke things. Niliona mafence zikibomolewa nini, watu waliingia ile parliament wanatoka na microwave. Kuna mzee alitoka hadi na sufuria imejaa mchele manzi. Na Wakenya ni wasiwa wild. Alafu wengine wanatoka na makuku. Unajua zile kuku kama za Sanford, zile pono tu.
Kile kuku pono.
No, ametoka nao mzima anafanya hivi. Yeah, so that day was wild. Now, that night, I think the president alikuwa amefika hiyo point ya these kids, you know. So he said this thing for
treasonous criminals.
Yeah. What?
Magaidi.
Mind you, just before this, there's a couple of people that had been hanging around this house, my place, 2 days. For like 2 days. So the kwanza walikama na Prado fulani, alafu nilikuwa kwa my balcony. So I was just like, I was at the balcony and I saw them. And now walikuwa na walkie-talkie. Bro, nikatoroka nikaenda kwa neighbor. Wakakaa wakasimama hapo kwa hii my outside my door, just surveying. And my watchman is like, kuna wasi wako hapa kwako. Na inakaa very weird. And then they came, after the treasonous criminals thing, I remember my folks even called me. They were like, wewe tunafeel unafaa utoke manze, vitu zako zikae poa. Then immediately after that call, there's a friend of mine who was a friend uko KD in the army KDF. Alinipigia akaniambia nimepigiwa na umse, sister jina yake of course, nimepigiwa na umse, wananiambia jina yako iko kwa list ya sana, natafuta na need kutoroka. This guy knows me as Charisma. Yeah, he doesn't know my real name, but he asked my friend, msanii best yako anaitwa Fidel Shama. Mwambia atoke huku. Nikasema, watu wangu, nakumbuka hiyo siku, that same night, tulienda, nika withdraw just enough money, nilikuwa kwa stage ya Easy Coach. Nilisema hata si drive. Stage ya Easy Coach, nikapotea. Nakumbuka that morning, so my watchman calls me again. Kuna watu wanagonga kwa mlango yako. Sijui nini, namwambia mimi ni sawa, wacha wagonga, wakitaka wabomoe waingie, mimi siko. Yeah, and even so I have a dog guy I live with. Hata niliambia bro wangu akachukua akaishia nazo. Yeah, so my house was like that, and I wasn't in my house for a long time, for a very long time. Tulikuwa tunatafutwa, and so the situation was crazy. And I think mimi na believe Ruto tu ni army ilikata kumsaidia, but I'm sure he wanted to go full throttle, and they were like, no, we're not gonna do this. But it was tough. So hata mimi niendelea tu na maandamano Kakamega manzi. Nilitorokea huko, but sasa ikabidi nikuwe kwa maandamano but huko nyuma. Nisipige kelele pia. Sasa nikikuwa pasona na natafutwa mpaka Kakamega jamani. I'm telling you, it was a very traumatic time. There's a time nikiwa tu wacha tu shags natembea, niliona gari ya polisi imesimama karibu na gate ya kwetu. And kusema kweli walikuwa tu shughuli yao. Lakini acha niwaambie, nilikaza boxer kwa kama thong mzee.
Tumbo joto.
Nilisema wamenikujia mpaka huku yani. Yeah, it was very traumatic, and you know, we were fighting for things that we believed in, and especially I honestly, as an artist or someone in the public eye, it was very risky because you're very present in those demonstrations. You're posting about it. You're very vocal about it. And I remember I put out a video just the day before Parliament, nikisema people should not forget what the goal is. Our goal is to occupy Parliament. Tuache kwenda huko tao kuimbia mbali, tunaingia Parliament, hiyo ndio kitu ya maana. So unajua yangu ingekuwa turned easily as mean instigator, mimi nilichocha watu waingia wabomo hiyo place. Una get? Yeah, so it wasn't easy. Hata kurudi Nairobi nakumbuka tena time nilirudi nilishindwa kukaa kwangu. Nilienda nikakaa kwa msee for a while. Yeah, and that period, there's a lot of things I've learned from that period. I think we did something great, but also there's a lot of lessons from it. I think we could have planned more or thought about this thing more, and maybe we could have had a better outcome. For example, just and it's not regrets. There's things I think about, like the whole leaderless thing. I'm like, yeah, that was great when we did it, but now it came to a point where I was like, okay, we need our issues articulated. What do we do? There's no leaders, and even when we say something like Ruto must go, so assuming Ruto goes, Gachagua becomes president. Do we have people where we're thinking of we can prop up to that level? So yeah, those are just some of the things I felt, and it was very sad. I think it was draining. We got injured. Mimi nilipigwa na tear gas mpaka nikaizoea. Maji ya makanon nilizizoea. Yani, and then people got killed. Yeah, people dying, man, was not. I mean, you always kind of know with things like this, with revolution, this could happen, but it just wasn't great. Like, it wasn't a great thing to see. Nearly to drain, very emotionally, physically, and mentally. But yeah.